I'm going to live to 112 because I'm going to be a super centurion now. And I'm going to keep getting healthier probably till about 100 probably about 109. Then I'm going to level off. And then I'm going to get to like a 111, point 0.8 and just slowly start to fade and then just dump. Welcome to Build with Rob. It is your host, Rob Dyrdek. Always coming at you with some sort of thought, some sort of philosophy that connects back to my mission of driving everybody. I'm talking everyone you, the people closest to you that are at least driven. I'm trying to push all of you to a harmonious, high-quality existence, trying to have you think about the world through the lens of what can I create, automate, and optimize? How can I live with that machine mindset to just have an amazing life? Ain't that really what it's all about? Look, I'm a lot of different things that I choose to do in my life design are much more tactical and specific in ideas that are meaningful to me and ultimately my existence and the way that I'm trying to create it. I share a lot of that on this show and kind of what that is. But one thing I've been thinking about lately is the fundamental power of forever. There is so much power in forever. And when I say forever, I mean like a single direction, a single career, a single relationship, right? Like these things that are built, designed, and optimized for years into decades, into potentially your whole life. And when you think about the potential of when you point your energy and your personal mastery in a single direction at an extended period of time, that you're going to compound knowledge that will evolve and expand you to levels that you could never even fathom because you could never see that far from the very beginning, right? But, I realized, for me, I didn't and couldn't really see forever till I met my wife. Okay. And now, it's going to be like, oh, you just love love, Rob. And you just love to talk about love. And that's what forever love is, and yes, it is. And think about this, like when I met my wife, before I met my wife, it was like, I was always obsessed with what I was going to do next, right? I never had gotten to the point of how do all of these things connect and make up my life as a whole. And finding a great love and a great relationship allowed me to begin to see my life through that lens. And, God bless her, I wasn't overly into personal development, and she was super into personal development. Like, look at me now. I'm out here like on a podcast sharing my philosophy and like, look, machine mindset, look at us go. Like, you got to live like this, design, automate, and optimize. Let's master time, energy, and capacity. We're fusing art, science, and magic out here. I'm a preacher. I wouldn't have done this whatsoever if I have not met my wife, because she was fully committed to personal development at scale, which then got me to like read Think and Grow Rich again. She wanted to go see Tony Robbins. So I started like looking into all this like Tony Robbins stuff. Like this began this sort of energy inside me of beginning to see everything through the lens of how could I improve myself in a more systematic way. And of course, I took it over the top to get to where we are today, where I'm out here trying to like push an entire unified theory of personal development and a philosophy that is the machine mindset. But what my wife gave me, especially in the relationship, was this anchor that was a significant portion of my life. That the person who is the significant other in your life is a cornerstone of your ability to find peace and build an amazing life, right? And it's an essential relationship, at least for a certain portion of people, and for me it was. And what I didn't do was set out on a mission as it related to finding my wife. Of like, oh, found her. This is it. Okay, great. That's settled. Now I can see forever. It was twofold. It was like I finally had this piece of my life that began to allow me to see my life as a whole and look at who I wanted to become and how I wanted to live. But it also put me on this journey of like, how do I have this infinite goal, right, that goes on forever, of how to have an amazing relationship with my wife, and I never stopped trying to get better and better and better at the relationship that I have with my wife. It's why I ask her how she feels about our relationship on a quantitative level. It's why every year I come up with a theme that represents my goal of what I want to, enact or sort of be my North Star of like evolving the relationship each year. And I didn't learn it anywhere. I'm not sure if anybody else does it. I certainly, every time I share it with people, they're like, "What?" Like, no one else has ever told this, but for me, every single year, I develop an entire theme as it relates to what I want my focus to be on to be a better husband. And in 2022, my theme was listen, reflect, and reply. I must commit to listening to everything she says, then reflect and analyze what is the most effective and worthy way to respond, taking into consideration her motivation and personal needs before injecting my thoughts and considerations. Right? That's my theme for the year. Listen, reflect, reply. Right? And, when you think about optimizing a relationship with somebody you're super close to, a lot of times you can boil it down to certain differences in communication and the way that you actually talk to each other that can create problems. And for me, me and my wife are completely different as it relates to how things need to be handled. I'm like, attack it, handle it, let's get it done, let's move, design, automate, optimize. And for her, she's a feeler. Like it's a much more, there's so many more layers to what is going on with any particular situation, especially as it relates to problems than just getting it handled and moving on, and for me, it ends up like I'm just trying to like solve an issue and move forward or take care of it or handle business, whatever it may be. But it oftentimes comes off as abrasive and insensitive to her feelings, right? And so when you think about designing a theme like that into your relationship, it's not like this like code and now it's a goal. It's this level of awareness that I set out and think about now all the time. And then I get better and better at applying this theme, which in turn has throughout this year, because I did it at the beginning of the year, has just helped me to be a better communicator by just thinking to myself when something happens, just listen to what she said and reflect. Listen, reflect, then reply, right? And it's technical for me. And these are just for myself, It's technical because it's like reflect and analyze what is the most effective and worthy way to respond, right? Effective and worthy. Because I will just kind of shoot from the hip about something that will just sort of amplify, how it's making her feel in a chaotic way, rather than understanding sort of where it's coming from. And then, of course, taking into consideration her motivation and personal needs, reflect and analyze what's happening here. Where is she currently at? What is the best and way to actually communicate about this particular thing right now? Right? Is sort of what I've applied to our relationship, right? And And the beauty of it is it's, you're talking about 7 years of marriage where this same sort of like mentality and mindset has been applied of like, how do I keep getting better and better? And how do we keep having a better and better relationship, and that's a paradigm for a lot of people, as like, oh, you get married and then it's just like, your relationship fades over time if your parents are as an example of it, or somebody says something to you that, oh, this is how it is, and I'm here to tell you that if you find someone to be with that you truly want to spend the rest of your life with, that it will be the anchor of your success. And then if you commit to making that relationship and your world together better and better throughout your entire relationship, you will have a relationship that gets better and better and better over time. It is possible, and I'm living proof, and to me, when you think about that, it's compounding, you're growing, you're evolving, you're understanding each other really well. But she also knows that that's my commitment and she's committed to it. So that means we're growing and evolving the relationship together. Now when you begin to think about, okay, that's one portion of your life, right? And so since I really began to understand the power of forever, and if you could point these big sort of like things in your life towards a way that you want to get better at forever, that it provides this incredible compounding effect towards realizing the ideal version of that portion of your life, and perhaps even beyond what you could have ever even imagined, right? So, think about how I apply that same concept to the Dyrdek machine. Like when I'm like designed and built the Dyrdek machine, I took so much time to understand how exactly I wanted to do with it, how much time I wanted to be in it, short term and long term, and how I wanted to interact with portfolio companies and the way that I wanted to invest in them and what it was. So much so, for the years, because you got to understand, like it was 2013 to 16 that I just kept iterating and designing and building the foundation and evolving sort of the business strategy and the brand strategy. And everybody just kept telling me I was crazy. Like, oh, like you're crazy. Like just, you got to stand it up and get it out there. You know what I mean? And for me, I knew that I wanted this to be the anchor to everything that I did for the rest of my life. And it was important to me, as I built it through that lens, that I spend the time to make sure that it has the foundation and the framework for me to be able to do that from. Because it was the cornerstone of my career, my legacy, how I generate wealth, all of these things, and what it has allowed is me to create a system around it that then has allowed me to automate it and then optimize it over time. And it just continues to evolve. But it is evolving because it's getting better. I'm getting more dynamic and getting deeper knowledge and getting clearer on how I want the company and its evolution and its potential to be realized. I went the first couple years of investing and building and co-founding, doing all types of things. Then I realized, like, no, I actually just want to co-find businesses. And then I realized, like, okay, I can't be an investor. I need a significant stake. Then as I began to like build all these companies, I began to see the same sort of issues happening with capital staging. Now I applied sort of this philosophy of capital staging. And as I began to grow businesses that needed capital, I was getting diluted. Then I saw, like, okay, no, like my evolved vision is I don't want to necessarily do as many companies. I want to do a select few of better ideas, that instead of investing a few $100,000, that I invest 6 to 10 million in. And push them, all the way through ideation to acquisition. You know what I mean? And it's a significant leap from what I designed in the very beginning. But since it's what I'm going to do forever, I just keep getting better and better and better and evolving and shaping and getting better and better. And the way that I curate ideas and entrepreneurs and the way that I build and support and advise these companies has just gotten more dynamic, and it is the gift of forever. So now you think about that, like, okay, you have your career that's locked in, your relationship that's locked in. Now I looked at like a financial strategy and system. I built a simple system that I understood and that I could follow, that would be how I would manage and grow my personal wealth long term. And what does growing personal financial stability and harmony give you? Above all, it gives you peace and allows you to take more risks and keeps you your entire life more balanced, because your financial sort of well-being will always be something that steals a lot of mind share from you. But I created a system, and then I built the system and never wavered. It was always, do much more conservative real estate investment to balance out my high risk venture investment. The difference is over the years, I got incredibly sophisticated and learned more and more how I would even look at the way I look at those investments, how I'm looking now at operators and their years of experience, and did they weather the 2008 housing crisis, and have they ever lost any investors' principal? Like, how do they leverage? How do they use debt? Like, all these different, much more technical things that I had no idea about when I initially developed the strategy. But since it was my long-term strategy that I could commit to forever, I learned more and got better and better at doing it, right? And again, what I'm trying to show here is the sooner you can land on forever, whether it's in career or personal strategies or relationships, like, what you get to do is systematically evolve with purpose into a more dynamic, expansive, knowledgeable person as it relates to whatever that is, right? And the more knowledge you gain, the easier it gets, the better it is, the less effort it takes, and the more harmony it adds to your life, and it's something that I don't think is talked about enough, right? Tony Robbins will tell you, like, hey, you figure out what you want to master early on, and that'll lead you to success, and it's the truth. When you look at some of these, really, really successful, especially if you look at someone like Warren Buffett, who was like, buying stocks in high school, and this was his dream, and all he did was get better and better at it. And he didn't put demands on any aspect of his life. He lived in the same house for, 80 years and had the same routine, same office. It's just scaled with his knowledge and capital, and for me, even when I look at my health, my strategy for my health, I was in the best shape of my life in 2015, but I was like so achy. And I knew that the structure and the damage that I had done to my body was not going to sustain me and eventually break me down as I got older. And I went on a mission simply to re-engineer my biomechanics, and all I wanted was a flawless structure. I want to not be achy, and along that journey, which I thought to get my body fully aligned would have taken a couple years max. You know what I mean? But it's proven to take I'm 7 years deep and not even fully to the place that I would like to be, what I'd like to consider Tom Brady ooey gooey. I need those muscles to be all pliable. I need my fascia and my neuromuscular and skeletal structure to be flawlessly aligned, so all my muscles turn on and off perfectly and they're all gooey and I don't get any buildup and compensation patterns. But what happened over these last few years? I learned every aspect of my body, and I've gotten healthier and healthier to a level I didn't even know was possible to get healthy because I didn't understand how my body worked. I didn't have the depth of knowledge of what I could put in and what the output would be, and that has only amplified throughout the years. Now you add sleep data to that, and this sort of quantitative data and body composition, and ultimately these other aspects of blood work that can show in these more quantifiable ways of how much healthier that I am today than I've ever been in my life. And I know with this depth of knowledge, I'm like, the paradigm's gone for me. I know I'm going to get healthier and healthier and healthier for the rest of my life. And I'm going to live to 112 because I'm going to be a super centurion now. And I'm going to keep getting healthier probably till about 109. Then I'm going to level off. And then I'm going to get to like 111, 0.8 and just slowly start to fade and then just dump. You know what I mean? That's sort of like the vision that I have for my long-term health. But the point I'm trying to make is the sooner that you can make decisions on things that you want to commit to forever, especially on these big aspects of your life, that's your health, that is your finances, your career, and your relationships, and you commit to knowing that if I want this to be forever, and I'm going to make it my mission to make it better forever, and live in this sort of perpetual state of optimization, that is where this harmony that I speak of when I talk of living this harmonious, high quality life based off of all these systems integrated together and being balanced. So really, to each and every one of you, I'm not saying you got to go out and get married today. I'm not saying you need to pick that career right now. But put that in the back of your mind of knowing that, like, I would like to build plans for each of these core aspects of my life, and ultimately how I want to spend my time, as a forever strategy, so that as the years go by, you can continue to compound towards mastery and ultimately living an amazing, harmonious, high quality life, because that is all we're about. And look, I do have to tell you, like I've taken forever next level on many occasions, and a lot of people will tell you I'm crazy for the way that I'm treating forever estates, because I also bought a piece of land in 2015 that when I stood on, I was like, this is where I am going to live forever. Like, I knew it when I stood on the land. I called it Forever Estates from the very beginning. And it is, by the time I finish it, it'll be 10 years later. 10 years. You know what I mean? And in the beginning, I was like, no timeline, no budget. I just want to make the most remarkable home that there is. And, and I actually, realized how much, like, I didn't know what I actually liked in a house when I started designing, and ended up firing the first group that I was designing it with, and then sought out the very best architects in the world, which is Seyoda out of South Africa. And God bless them, because they are down for this insanity that is Forever Estates, and this willingness to go through so many iterations and designs and so many different levels. Like, they're saints. They're saints, because I have done, I feel like I built like 5 or 6 houses and tore them down and redid them. That's how much I have evolved this home. And now I sit in it in VR, and I could walk through this thing for hours and know that there's not one aspect of this house that I would ever change. And I will live there for the rest of my life. And it's something that I never, ever have to think about again. But that is the obsessive and next level version that I don't know if I would necessarily recommend for everybody. Because, I could have just hired the first architect and built it, and I would have moved into it like, 4 or 5 years ago, instead of still not, moving in for 4 years from now. Believe it or not, 10 years later after I bought the actual piece of land. But again, as you can see, part of what has allowed me to reach such extraordinary success is because these big cornerstones of my existence were designed and built to grow forever. It's forever relationships. It is a forever career and company, finances and health that together has allowed me to grow and evolve to a level of success in harmony and happiness that I never even knew was possible. And I just implore that you really try to find forever in all aspects of your life. Okay, look, there you have it. Again, appreciate all you. Wherever you listen to this show, watch this show, like, subscribe, be a part of it. You know what I mean? Join the community. Follow us on social media. Be on the show. If you're an entrepreneur, be on the show. Go to dyrdekmachine.com. Be on the show. Pitch us an idea. If you got an idea, become a machinist. Buy one of our products from one of our mini portfolio companies, because they're all amazing, because that's what we do down here. We manufacture amazing. And you know what it is. If you want to see forever, you got to have a vision. If you want to evolve systematically and forever, you got to have a plan. And above all, you got to be willing to do everything that it takes to realize that ideal version of your forever. Till next time, see it, believe it, do it.